There we go. All right, call the meeting to order. I will start with Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll get started with our January 16th regular meeting. The agenda is before everyone. Are there any questions, amendments, changes? All right. Hearing none, seeing none, the chair will ask for a motion to approve the agenda. All right, and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Let's move on to the consent agenda. We have two sets of two claim vouchers to approve here, one totaling $1,177,258.49. The other totaling $751,993.04. Do I have a motion to approve, or are there any questions first before we get to the motion? Any of the items for staff? All right, seeing none. It has been moved to approve the consent agenda. All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Moving right along, we have recognition of our EMT scholarship recipients. Yes.
Minutes.
I'm sorry, approval meeting minutes. So we have the January 9th special meeting minutes. Are there any questions? Any amendments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 9th.
So.
Right? Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
You count.
All right, apologies for that. Number 6 here. I got to get a little ruler to move down the page. Maybe that'll help. Recognition of our EMT scholarship recipients. This is with well, Chief Hovis isn't here tonight. Actually, I did want to extend his apologies. He was diagnosed with some contagious fun things, so he will not be attending this evening. But Assistant Chief Sean Maxwell and Miss Penny Coyne will be taking over in this presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Maddie and Justin, why don't you come up and kind of stand here so they can see you? You're the stars of the hour. Thank you, board, for letting us do this quick presentation here. This was a dream of Penny and Chief Hovis's to reach out into the community, people that live and work here and our volunteers as well, and support their ability to become medically certified as EMTs. And Penny learned that is a criteria to test with us as well. And Penny came forward, and these are the full meal deal scholarships, because you need stethoscopes and boots. It's not just the books and the class. She's really taking care of the whole thing here for this is Maddie German, and Justin Wynn. They're our volunteers. Maddie's she does coaching and umpiring in 3 years in fire science so far. That's awesome. She's well on her way. And then Justin, you have a bachelor's in business management?
I don't know where I came from though. Sorry, but I'm working on my A.
You're working on, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just gave you a goal. Well, at any rate, we're really pleased to have you. This is also, I'll just take a personal point of privilege. I received a scholarship from the grocery store owner in our town for me to get my EMT when I was a volunteer firefighter. So we expect great things of both of you. And with that, I'll turn over to Miss Penny. Thanks.
Maddie and Justin, thank you for submitting your interest into this program. And as the chief said, this is the full meal deal. We're taking care of your tuition, your books, your inoculations, your background checks, your psych evaluation, if that's part of it. And also, and that's why I would never be a volunteer firefighter. But also your shirt, your shoes, your pants, the things that you're going to need, because we know, as old as I am, which is like 3 days older than dirt, we know that it's expensive. And what we want you to do, what South County Fire wants you to do, is concentrate on your studies and concentrate on becoming the best EMTs you possibly can. I read, along with Chief Maxwell, we sat here one night and we read your essays, we looked at your resumes, and clearly, you were two people that so richly deserved these scholarships. And I have two sentences from each of their essays that I'd like to read to you, because these were the ones that touched me. Two sentences from each of them were my deciding factor. Maddie said, "This scholarship would help provide me with the opportunity to pursue my passion for helping others in a meaningful way. It will open doors for me to make a difference in people's lives during emergencies and provide critical care." Justin said, "Above all else, this scholarship guarantees that one day I will have the privilege to save at least one person. It represents an opportunity for me to make a real and profound difference in someone's life." Now, if that ain't an EMT and a South County firefighter, I don't know what is. So Maddie, Justin, I am so thrilled that you're going to be joining us. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I want to give you, this is from Support 7. You're going to be working with them a lot. This is this year's calendar for them. And I want each of you to have one. I know you don't use a paper calendar like I do,
Start.
but you don't have to, because what I want you to look at are the pictures. They're the pictures, the heroes that you're going to be joining. So congratulations.
All right, Leslie wants some kind of picture. Oh, okay.
Thank you, board. Oh, by the way, here's the check. That- No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we can go. All right. Thank you, board. And Penny knows firefighters. We do well with pictures, so.
Just a moment.
One picture, I'll be right back.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair. Thank
All right, I'd like to make a quick comments on that. Yeah, I want to just let you know.
I'm well past that. Say how probably out, swap and spit with 15 girls on it. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything, don't touch anything. Don't look at anything. Let's get back on the,
Program. All right, moving on, we move to public comment. Is there anyone in attendance or online that would like to make public comment? Okay, I don't have a sign-in sheet, so please just.
My name is Willie Russell. I'm with the 21st Legislative District Cascade Precinct. First of all, I'd like to let you know how disappointed I am that you had a January 9th special meeting and nobody in the community was notified about it. And that you elected Michael Rowland as your chairperson, a person who will now tonight, because of that, we have found out we will be moving in a lawsuit against South County Fire, Michael Rowland, and I believe a Mr. Fitzgerald.
Russell? I apologize for interrupting you. Public comments are intended for the actual items on the agenda. So just one of the commissioners asked me to remind you of that.
So public comments is what's on this agenda, is that correct?
It's standard practice.
State law? Would you quote that law for me, sir?
RCW, let me see here real quick. I had it up.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. There's also another one. It's called the right and representation.
Please suspend for a moment.
Once again, I'm going to ignore this man because he's done this for years.
Sir, could you please suspend for a moment? To answer your question, under RCW 4230.240, section 3 does allow, it says nothing in the section prevents a governing body from allowing public comments on items not on the agenda, but it's not required. I just wanted to.
So you're not preventing me.
I have not stopped you.
You just said I couldn't do that.
I'm reminding you of the guidelines.
I
Please
know the
continue.
guidelines, sir.
Please continue.
Obviously you don't. You and Mr. Chan do not. And the video evidence from the Mukilteo City Hall will prove that in court. Now, moving on to the agenda. I guess I don't understand exactly. I've asked for twice now, and I'm going to ask one more time, and I don't know who I need to ask. I want an investigation into Mike Fitzgerald and Micah Rowland ordering your attorneys to say I can't come on any fire department property. I want an investigation because your own records that I've gotten through public disclosure shows a collusion. And when I get done showing Mr. Chan being quiet and Mr. Your chairman here being involved in an assault in a public meeting, okay, there will be people that are questioning what's going on at South County Fire. Now, I've come to you people in very nicely and asked you to look into things. Everybody's ignored it. You've ignored it long enough. Things have happened in this community that man has been personally responsible for with Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Kenny, you responded to an email I sent you.
Sir, your time is up.
No, you took some of my time. I'm claiming my time back.
Sir,
I'm claiming my time back that you
your
took.
time has expired.
And ma'am, I want to tell you that I, as a citizen of this community, deeply appreciate you stepping out and doing out of your pocket. Because see, you are what we are looking for in our representation. I would hope that you would run for fire commissioner. I would hope that you would run for an elected position here in this community.
Sir, your time has expired.
I thank you on behalf of the Cascade Precinct here for that work you've done and the money that you have worked hard for and now are donating it back to us. I appreciate that. Once again,
Sir, Time has
I
expired.
want to know when we're going to have some type of meeting regarding this.
Your time has expired.
Can I get an answer? It's a fair request. I just want to know when we can have a meeting to find out about what's going on here.
Sir, your time has expired.
Can I get an
You need
answer?
to unlock your iPhone first.
Apparently you'd need to unlock my iPhone first. Apologies on that. I'm sorry, your public comments, all right.
Can I get an answer to when? Well, I remember on September 13th,
Sir?
Mr. Kinney or Mr. Lawrence at home,
Sir, you have
when they
been
were
asked
talking
to
about
suspend.
$1.1 million being paid to architects. He wanted to know if they could just change it so that they could not have to vote. That's exactly what he said. Could we just change the wording so we don't have to vote? Folks, I want you to vote on this. Can we have an investigation into my complaint of
Sir,
Michael Rowland
If you do
and
not
Mike?
suspend, we will have to call law enforcement and ask you to be removed.
Okay,
Please.
God bless America. Get 911 them. I just asked. I just want an answer. I've asked you for 2 months.
I am adjourning, or not adjourning the meeting. I am recessing the meeting for the next 10 minutes while we try to address this issue. Thank you. All right, we come back to order. Call the meeting back to order. We will continue. Oh, wait, are there any further public comment?
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I was just commenting, I just saw this Penny and Median, yeah, and Justin's. That was to me as a community come together. A generous donor, and then the 2 outstanding member make this happen. I'm just appreciate all 3 of you. Yeah. I almost cried too.
Yeah, we started the last session before you guys got back in the room. I did want to say that I've been serving alongside them on the volunteer force since, when did we start? In about August, I think. Yeah. And they're wonderful assets, and I wish them the best, and I'm glad that they have this opportunity to keep proceeding with their goals. Thank you, Ms. Coyne, as well.
Chair, I have some.
Yes, Commissioner Fernohoff.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Maddie and Justin. This is a great step forward. This is going to be defining your career. Even if you don't stick in the fire service, being an EMT is one of the most valuable pieces of training that you'll ever get in your life. As I glance around my room over here and I see all my certificates, it just reminds me of my first moments in getting involved in that kind of program. So I'm very excited for you. And now that you've attended tonight's meeting, you can see what Commissioner Rowland and myself have in terms of fun and games when we're not participating with you on the volunteer unit. So thank you for joining us this evening, and I wish you well.
All right. Is there any further public comment? All right, hearing none, public comment period is closed. We move on to our fire chief's report. Chief.
Good evening, Chair Rowland, commissioners and the public and staff. I'll be very brief. We endured the weather. And most of what I'm going to talk about tonight is just as a result of the weather. If you go to the first slide, please. We had a very high incidence of call demand. We usually do about 100 to 110 calls a day. Friday through Monday, we were near 200 calls a day as a result of the weather. You can see some of the work that was being done. Manor Care in Linwood is the picture you see. We had engine 15, ladder 14 helping clean up as a result of busted pipes. And there was a lot of that went on as a result. And so crews did well. We didn't have any other incidents that I'm aware of except for high call demand. And we had no issues at any of our stations. And so hats off to facilities and the crews for gearing up for the cold weather. And it kept us dealing with the public's needs and not having to worry about fire stations and broken pipes at our own facilities. So did very, very well. Next slide. As a result of the weather, we canceled the 13th Scout Day. We also canceled the neighborhood night at Lake Serene Station, just so you know, because of the weather. The Scout Day is going to be has already been rescheduled to February 17th. And the Lake Serene neighborhood night will be rescheduled sometime when the weather gets a little bit warmer, and we'll give you plenty of time when that happens. So that hasn't been rescheduled, but it will be rescheduled closer to summer. So last slide. And our folks in our public education and the crews in the street, you know, the work they do and is just amazing. And here's one of the things they do when they're not responding on calls. This is night light donations at Martha Lake Elementary. And who you see on the left is it's Kim Sharp. He's one of our folks that work in the community resource medic office. Most of you have met him. And he was actually talking to the kids about what happens with the night lights that they actually get. And really what it is they put night lights in homes to prevent falls. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but falls happen a lot. And as you get older, falls have a high mortality rate. And so keeping people from falling keeps them in their home and keeps them healthy. And we do a lot of work on falls prevention, and the nightlight donations is a key part of that, to light the pathways. So when folks get up at night, early in the morning, along with all the other things they do to get rid of trip hazards and such, is to give them enough light so they don't inadvertently trip and fall and need our services. So hats off to Kim Sharp and the rest of the team. I don't know which engine crew this is, or it's more than one. And so again, thanks for the work they do. And if you don't have any questions, that's all I have for the chief's report tonight.
Sometimes it's those simple things that we either take for granted or don't even realize that can make the most good. I kind of had an idea the other night at the volunteer training. A lot of the calls we get called out on, you know, somebody left something on the stove. Maybe cooking classes could help reduce our call rates. I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate all the work that this crew has done to help, you know, the community resource paramedic program has been very important in reducing call volume and most importantly, helping to prevent those incidences that could, you know, lead people to need to call, injuries that don't heal or that they have to deal with for the rest of their lives or even worse. So I'm very proud of this organization for the work it's done, trailblazing the effort to do this program, and know that there's lots of interest outside of our organization in what they're doing. So they really should be commended for what they've done.
Thank you.
All right.
Questions? Yeah.
Please.
Chief Eastman, because of the cold snap, and you mentioned it, in the more distant past, when we have had deep cold snaps down to like 10 degrees, like this time, there have been freeze-overs at at least one of our lakes, and people walking out on the ice and falling through. I saw some social media posting that we did about just ice on the road and being safe, mostly on the falls issue that you mentioned. But I was curious how much ice formed, or if there were any issues regarding our lakes and freezing over.
So I'm not aware of any, Sean.
I don't believe we had. I don't believe we had any, but interestingly, the crews coming through today were, it was at top of mind for them to be ready for that. So it was interesting you brought that up because they were stopping me down below discussing how they were planning for it. So it
Oh,
was
that's
on their
good.
mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Because I know it's been a while, but we've had some tragedy in that regard. So
Yeah.
it's just the ice is dangerous, but people want to play on it. So
Yeah, and I think what do we have, three days? 3 days
at least.
at least. Usually you get a little bit of ice around the fringe when that happens. My experience, just me growing, it takes a little bit longer cold for you to start getting it out into the lake for folks to, so like I think the cold freeze you were talking about lasted almost 2 weeks.
That's probably true, yeah.
Which was a different animal for the opportunity for, and I think we stayed in the teens or below for almost that full 2 weeks. And we did have ice issues. And I want to say, but yeah, I didn't hear anybody talk about that this time. Like Sean says, I know it's on our rescue team's mind all the time because opportunity they don't get to do, train, some of those other pieces. But and knowing our community or our communications team, my guess is somebody was looking at the lakes to know, and you didn't see anything on social media because it didn't need it, just because I know the players and know they were out and about over the weekend. So
Well, sometimes no news is good news.
there you go. Thanks.
They do. I mean, they do some incredible training on the lakes. The cold water suits, they have it's incredible how fast our, fire hoses, they'll inflate with air and shoot out onto the ice. And as you probably remember, we've truly saved lives with people waiting in a hole in the water. So we practice it, we've executed it, and we've saved lives with it. So I think it's top of mind and people are ready.
Good, great. Thank you.
Are you saying, oh, I'm just sorry. Are you saying that we have drained for ice water here or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
already? I thought people in Minnesota probably, practice all the time.
Well, they just do it in Minnesota. They don't need to
Right.
train on it,
Yeah.
right? We just do it.
Yeah, I remember that ice, that cold period. I remember, I think you were in the newspaper. You were out there ice fishing. That was.
Well, when my kids were young, we did play around
Yeah.
on the lake, but we're really careful with that. Yeah. All right.
Thank you for your report. Moving on, union reports, I believe we have, Mr. Pickens.
Share your microphone.
There we go. Sorry about that. Union report to, Mr. Pickens.
I think I heard you on the echo in the background there, so I was keeping up. Hey, good evening, commissioners and staff, chiefs and public. I don't have too much to report. Do want to give a shout out to our crews. Sounds like a busy few days with the temperatures and stuff. I wasn't working. I was at home, which is near Chelan, where we hit -11 one night, and so I was just praying that I didn't have any pipes break at my house. So. Do want to also congratulate the scholarship recipients. That's awesome. And thank you, Ms. Coyne, for your help with those scholarships. As far as on the local side of things, we don't have too much going on right now. We're getting ready to spool up into some it's kind of a early in the year's kind of conference season for us. So we have some members headed down to our ALTS training, which is our affiliate leadership training summit, which is held in Orlando this year. That'll be at the end of January. And then coming up into February and March, we have the Washington State Legislative Session, as well as the Washington, D.C. Legislative Session that we'll be participating in. We did get an invite from Fitch and Associates to our e-board members for a lunch that we attended a couple days ago. They were just kind of trying to solicit some input from our e-board and kind of share what they're doing as far as their reporting for or the work that they're doing for the city of Edmonds. So that was a good meeting, and we're encouraged and look forward to the process with Edmonds, and excited to participate if needed for any type of ballot measures that may come there. So with that, I'll follow Chief's lead and keep it brief. If there's any questions anybody has for me, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thanks for having me.
Any questions? Comments? All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to unfinished business, committee assignments. Before we start with the talking about necessarily assignments, I don't believe I got a chance to speak with CFO Bothwell regarding the meeting last week and the proposal to combine the finance committee with an HR committee and kind of handle those things. Did we get a chance to kind of vet that? And
So CFO
feedback?
Bothwell and I talked, Chief Hovis and I have talked, HR Director Cullen and I have talked and actually, don't see a problem with having HR and finance being the same committee.
All right. Well, before we kind of get started with talking about assignments, do we want to amend the finance committee that we have formed to be an HR finance committee? What is the commissioner's feelings on that? All right, well, we'll need a motion then.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that the finance committee will be combined with the HR committee.
All right, your microphone was muted. Just for the record, go ahead and repeat yourself.
My second. Like sensitive, you start talking and you start. You want to push button? Yeah, I make a motion to, as you suggested, combine the finance committee and HR committee to form one committee.
All right, just a friendly amendment on that. We kind of talked about scope last time, the reviewing of HR policies and procedures and, important issues that need to come before the board.
Right.
As far as scope. All right.
Well, we'll determine, we're evolving because first time we do it together.
All right. We'll kind of start from that point and move forward. Is there a second? All right.
But I'd like to also say something.
Yes.
This mic issue, I've solved it. Turn it sideways, then you can't see the light when we put it at you.
Well, it's sideways and you forgot to push the button. Sorry.
Turn it sideways and you can push, you gotta remember to put it on, but it helps. I guess, never mind. Not such a good idea after.
Worth a shot. All right, getting back to subject at hand, there is a motion on the floor to extend the finance committee to be an HR finance committee for, at the start reviewing policies and dealing with serious issues that need to come before the board. Is there any discussion on this? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. So going back to committee assignments, I came up with just some general ideas that I wanted to share. I had it on my laptop here, but it decided to conk out on me. One of the things that I have found is, I don't want to say restrictive, but can cause issues with flexibility, especially in some of these committees that change what issues they're dealing with, is we can only have 3 members of the board on a committee due to Open Public Meetings Act rules. My suggestion would be that we assign 2 commissioners to each committee. That would allow us to have, if an additional commissioner had a specific interest in, let's say, the garage doors that we're going to be putting in the capital facility plans or other things, for them to be able to, if they know that's coming up, attend those committee meetings without bloating it out beyond the original 3. I don't know if everyone thinks that's a good idea or not, but I wanted to just throw that out there to give us some flexibility as we go along, instead of having a static 3 members on each.
Yeah, I think a lot of the work really need a lot of people. And then we also last meeting that we said that basically the liaison people can join anytime. I really like you guys to jump because you guys, both of you have really good idea and really can influence. And then you guys have just contribute a lot, even though you're not voting, but just we're listening, especially me, both of you. I really respect that. But I still need to keep, I think 3 is better, so that, I think it's a never rare moment somebody wants a garage door. I mean, then if that's a big issue, then just bring it to open meeting.
All right, Commissioner Kenny.
Well, we created the committees last week, those that we did, as 3-member committees. And I think the 3 members is helpful. So there'll be 3 committees. Intergovernmental, Finance, HR, and Capital Facilities Plan. 3 committees at 3 apiece, that's 9 slots. You've got 7 commissioners. That means everybody can get at least 1 committee, and then 2 commissioners will have 2 committees. If you do 2 slots per committee, then you only have 6 slots and you have 7 commissioners. That means somebody's not getting a board committee seat. So it would seem that we'd want to use our human resources, actually our most important resource here at the board. We want to use our human resources to put 3 people on each committee. A 4th liaison, if they're interested. I think it'd be great for them to be one each to be on a committee, maybe even on 2 committees, but I know there's time issues. And use our resources to the maximum. And I think that if there are, I guess, Chair Rowland, I disagree with your concerns about the meetings, and I think that if there really is a desire by a 4th commissioner to come, one of the other commissioners can not go to the meetings. There's only 3 meetings, or we can make it a special board meeting and go, kind of like what will happen for the entrance and actually later for the exit interview with the state auditor's office. So in the interest of using our human resource the best, I'd say we keep it at 3.
All right. Any further discussion on just that idea? Again, there's no motion on.
Right, on that, the idea of 2 or 3.
Commission, nope, there we go.
That's not me. So can some committees just be best with 2? And some would be better with 3. I mean, we can't just pick and choose on a 3 and 2. That's,
I'm sure we can do whatever we
I
want.
mean,
Again,
I'm seeing some
my-
nodding in the wrong
This
direction.
is, I think, the first time that we've had kind of open committee assignments. In the past, we had the chair just assign them, but when the bylaws were rewritten, it was open. So I wanted to open this up to everybody as far as what we should do. So, yeah.
If they really need 3, put me on every committee and I just won't go to them.
I think that can go on your reelection signs there, Commissioner. All right, so I have spoken with a number of the commissioners. There's been some, volunteering to certain positions. What I have here is a suggestion. First off, I know last week the Commissioner Chan, you had asked or suggested that Commissioner Wittes would be good for the Snow 911 board. I definitely agree that he would be good in that position. After, communicating with him, he has requested not to be the Snow 911 liaison. My suggestion, or I would make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Fernahoff to that position.
Yes, I was about to say that if he's not interested, I think Commissioner Sternhoff will be great on there because he's a social butterfly. And in a positive way, I think. Because, seriously, one thing is that in the Snow 911, the person need to be connection, to be making connection with all the other fire, sheriff and fire commissioner and police and with other great. And I think knowing personality for enough, 100%, I was going to recommend that, he would be great.
All right, so I guess we'll call that a second for appointing Commissioner Fernahoff to the 911 board. Is there any further discussion on this? Any concerns? Anyone else that wanted to throw their hat in the ring and talk about why they wanted to serve in that position? It's my understanding from talking to him, he did, but I will let him speak for himself. Commissioner Fernahoff, are you able to unmute?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Do you have the time to devote for the Snow 911 board?
Yeah. Well, as long as I'm not appointed to every committee that you create, I think that will be a reasonable assumption.
Well, if we did that, then we'd have you and Commissioner Lawrence on every committee and just room for one more. So I promise we won't do that.
Join me, Mark. We could rule the world.
All right.
Yeah, but it is a very time consuming. I appreciate that you take that over. It's, and then I'd like to get, when you come back, I like to, every single meeting, kind of, update us what's going on and the key issues. Thank you.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of appointing Commissioner Fernahoff to the Snow 911 Board?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
If I may add one more thing.
Please.
Commissioner Fernhoff, really try to get yourself into a committee, either finance committee, then they also have the HR committee. And there's a capital facility plan. I think that because they've done already, but whatever it is, whatever committee they have, trying to get on one, that would be great. That you learn a lot of things about the Snow 911.
Maybe you and Commissioner Fernahoff can grab a coffee and you can talk about
Yeah.
your time on the board. And I'm sure he's
Right.
he can or has talked to former Commissioner Daniels about his time,
Right.
so he can be up to speed.
Thank you, sir.
All right, moving on, we've got let's go to the one that we just formed tonight. We've got the Finance and HR Committee. I know that last year, Commissioner Chan and Commissioner Lawrence were on the Finance Committee. Given your background in finance, Commissioner Chan, I would definitely support you continuing on in that new joint committee, along with Commissioner Lawrence, if he's doesn't have other or if you'd like to try something new, it's all up to you. And then my other suggestion, I had them split up, so that's why I had two on each committee, because I didn't want to overload everybody. Was Commissioner Teoflack, because he's kind of expressed an interest in the HR side of things at times. I don't know if that's something that you would be amenable to, Commissioner Teoflack, or if somebody else. But those were the two.
I need some.
the three of
Sure,
them.
I'll go on the committee.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wanted to serve on that? We can have you get some Rock'em Sock'em robots out. or- Okay. All right.
When does it meet?
That will be up to the committee to kind of start that. We do want to get these committees kind of jump started so they can have a first meeting here, but hopefully before our next month's meeting. We have next week off. So I would suggest for all the committees to meet next week if possible, just to get the ball rolling, determine who's going to be coordinating the committee, and move from there.
Finance Committee was meeting roughly once a month, depending on Commissioner Chan's vacations.
Well, I would love to sit in if my day job allows.
Of course. One of the things that I know, having a day job the same, having these committee meetings during the day, for those of us that have to be at work, can be very problematic. So I would encourage committees to try to schedule their meetings for later in the afternoon, if not the evening. I know it's more time away from family, but just to make sure that we give commissioners that have those jobs the ability to, and liaisons, the ability to attend.
You can zoom in.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. The other, I had split and I had put Hoffman down as possibly Liaison Hoffman is possibly interested in the finance side of things, since you've shown some acumen there. If that's something you'd like to do, you can just drop in, or you can be assigned to it, or if you don't believe you have the time, that's perfectly fine too. But
Can I just drop in if available?
Yeah.
Because my schedule's pretty busy right now.
that's perfectly fine. I didn't want to make any assumptions there. So I guess the consensus is, and we'll have a motion for this, for the Finance and HR Committee, Commissioner Chan, Commissioner Lawrence, Commissioner Teofilek, and Liaison Swisher. Is there a motion? So moved?
Yep.
All right, we have a second. Any more discussion? All those in,
Then the people from the house told the team.
all right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All,
Aye.
all those opposed? All right. We have a Finance and HR Committee. That moves us on to capital facilities. Capital Facilities is the one that is also a new one. I would definitely want to rely on the experience of some of our senior commissioners that helped originally form it, since they won't have as much of a ramp up to get started on it. It's a pretty lengthy plan, but we definitely want to also get some help from new commissioners to, understand our future growth. I don't know, Commissioner Kenny and Commissioner Chan, would you be interested in serving on that?
I think maybe Commissioner Wittes will be interested
My big thought, my goal is to be on the intergovernmental committee.
in the government.
So I'd rather do that if they need extra people, I could do it too.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd be happy to be on CFP.
okay. Now, Commissioner Chan, would you be willing to help out with that?
I would rather on the intergovernment committee,
Okay,
maybe. I don't know, Commissioner Lawrence, or actually GeoFact would be a good one. Because we'll discuss about bond issues and everything.
we need,
And
I think this is probably our biggest,
yeah,
I don't know how much work it is. Commissioner Kenny, on the Capital Facilities Committee in the past, is this something where you think we definitely need 3 commissioners to be assigned to this?
Yeah, it's a huge ticket item and we're planning to get, we're needing to like get liftoff. So it's gonna be some significant stuff.
actually, I do want to encouraging if a Commissioner GeoFact can join, because eventually we talk about issuing bonds and that type of thing. I think GeoFact will be kind of the investment part of it. I think he can give us a lot of help on that side of the formula in there.
Commissioner Teofilak, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking that if we were talking about a bond issuance, that might be in the finance committee,
Well,
which I'm a part of.
Definitely could be some crossover between the
the
two.
crossover, yeah.
I want to be cognizant of Commissioner Teofilak said that, his time outside of meetings is limited.
But yeah, I guess if we were talking about a bond issuance in the capital facilities committee, I could drop in on that.
Okay. All right. So we have Commissioner Kenny that has said yes. I would be happy to serve on that committee as well. Just because it's one of our most pressing issues, and I think one of our priorities for the next year. So
Yes.
that I think would be appropriate. I think for the sake of the committee, if it's just dropping in for certain bond issues, I would say for a third commissioner, I would still lean to add you to that committee due to your knowledge on it. Given what we've heard from other commissioners, I know we could really use.
I have to politely refuse, because I really want to get into the intergovernmental committee.
Well, as you've seen, we can have more than one committee.
Yeah, but I cannot be on 3 committee.
That's true. That's true. All right.
Are you looking for another
Unless I-
commissioner on that,
Just,
on the capital facilities?
yeah. Is that something
I
you'd be
was
interested?
on that before.
Yeah, you were on it.
Oh, you were, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want.
Okay.
I mean, if that's, you need a body, I'll take up that.
We need somebody to say no.
We need somebody that actually that will attend too.
Well, no, I'll attend.
Okay.
Oh, touche.
Not just the body, the building too.
Well, there's not much of that other part.
Commissioner Fernahoff? Did not forget about him.
But I think he's
Trying not to overload everybody.
I don't know, Commissioner Chan's got me on the wallpaper committee and I don't know what else over at Snow 911. I'm a little scared now.
All right. Well, for right now, let's start off. And again, we can always amend these. We can swap people out if we need to. Commissioner Kenny, Commissioner Rowland, and Commissioner Lawrence on that committee.
Yep.
All right. We have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
All right. Motion has been moved and seconded. Any more discussion on this? All those in favor, say aye.
I
All those opposed? All right. That leaves us with intergovernmental, the popular committee, I guess. What I had here is because we're, dealing with all these, the mergers and everything, that's a committee that I would like to keep my finger on the pulse of as chair. So I would like to serve on that committee. Commissioner Chan has said that, yes,
What exactly does that committee do?
that's a good question. The intergovernmental committee is normally tasked with dealing with issues that may involve either sensitive matters between other, the contract city, well, we have contract city now, the cities that make up with us, interfacing with other elected boards, things like that. Those meetings that have to happen outside of meetings because you can't have a whole, 14 commissioners sitting in a room from two different organizations to have a, cohesive conversation. So that's really the focus of the intergovernmental committee, is to get that, the legwork started, so that when, whatever those big issues, whether it be related to the fire marshal service or annexation or something, that some of that gets hashed out and we've got a point to start from.
I can give you a little brief history before we actually each two commissioner kind of on each city, we have a relationship committee, but then it become too many cities to deal with. So we kind of consolidate all this, just one committee to deal with every single city. Yeah. You'll be great for that.
Well,
Again, depending upon the time commitment, if I have the time, I would be happy to participate. It's just I have a busy day job.
yes, completely understand. We can include you on the list, the mailing list,
But Chair, I think,
let-
I'm just kind of giving, in the past, a lot of chair has devoted so many time already. So the chair not necessary to be in any committee at all if you don't want to. And that's the thing, because one thing we need to balance out, that's why, some people don't want, I don't want free committee and stuff like that. And I think even Commissioner Kenny, when I was in chair, we usually don't even sit on a committee. So there's no guilt for you to not joining any other committee. Because your job,
understand.
your job is really a lot of work too.
Definitely understand. Commissioner Wittes, you said that you would like to serve on that board. Is there any other commissioner that would like to serve on that committee? I know that intergovernmental, so that we can. Well, we have 3 volunteers so far. I just don't want to assume that the first people to speak are the only ones that want to do anything that we're deciding on. Commissioner Fernerhoff, you were on that committee before. Is that something that you would like to continue as well, or is that something that you would like to hand off?
Well, I've been the chair of the intergovernmental committee, and I can say this for anybody who's thinking of joining it, we are going to be entering into some very and probably intense and diplomatic moments. So whoever steps forward should consider that. Consider the diplomacy that will be needed in speaking with other governmental officials there, especially as we dialogue with the city of Edmonds. So I appreciate anybody who is willing to step up with that. It is a valuable committee to serve on. So just my advice.
Are you saying that you aren't interested in continuing on that committee?
I would continue on if you're pressed for somebody to serve, but at this point with 911 and Commissioner Chan is scaring the pants off me for having all of a sudden branched into multiple committees, I'm a little concerned. But if you need me, you can certainly put my name down. But if Mark Lawrence wants to beat me up in the back alley for that position, I will surrender to him.
You're on. Oh
Yeah,
no.
we do have 3 already, yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be cognizant of everyone. Like I said, don't want to just go the first 3 people to open their mouth automatically get anything. So, all right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Fernerhoff. So the proposal before the board is for Commissioner Wittes, Commissioner Chan, and Commissioner Rowland to serve on the intergovernmental committee. Any suggestions of changes, or are we good with that? All right. We'll call that the motion made by me and second by Commissioner Lawrence. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I can be opposed if you want, but I don't know if it'll do any good.
We're going to call that an opposed. All right then. The motion passes. All right. Moving on. Is there any further discussion on committee assignments? I think we've covered them all. Again, let's try to get the committees started here in the next week before our next meeting so that we can, at least get our bearings for new members.
Chair, quick question.
Yes.
If we find as we move forward that assignments on these committees need some adjustment for one reason or another, that's an option, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, the board can definitely modify the committees.
Very good. I just want to make that a good a point that's well aware that we can strengthen or we can swap folks out, depending on circumstances. So thank you, sir.
All right.
Except snow and 911, you cannot change.
That's correct. You're stuck.
You're stuck.
Now, wait a minute.
Chair Rowland,
Yes.
just from a staff, just so you know, staff's bandwidth right now, adding 3 committee, if we could, I would like to have an intergovernmental sooner than later, just as a result of everything's going on. And I know you want to have meetings quickly to get everybody on their bearing. Can we spread them out just a little bit for staff's sake? Especially if depending on nighttime, daytime, I think I think we need to have meetings when it's convenient for the board to be there, but if they tend to be more in the evening than day, that whoops some of us from a staff's position that be on multiple committees. So I'm not saying don't start your first meetings as fast as we can. Just remember there's a whole lot of stuff going on. And I think right now from a staff's perspective, intergovernmental is the one we need to get in front of the board, at least from a staff's perspective. We need to let you know what's been going on and where things are at. And there's lots of moving pieces. And obviously I'm a big fan of the facilities plan, but that's the one that staff needs to interact with the board sooner than later and just be cognizant of just
Sure.
staff's time of putting them all together. It makes some challenges for us. Not saying we can't do it. But if we could spread them out just a little bit, staff would appreciate at least consideration on that.
Definitely. To be clear, I wasn't suggesting that staff has to be ready to present any material or have anything before any of these committees. If you do, that's fine. But at least the committee members themselves need to meet and just figure out how they're going to structure it, when they're going to meet. It's more of the housekeeping stuff that I want to make sure that we get out of the way quickly.
Yeah.
But
I just want to make sure staff's supporting the board appropriately. And I just want to bring that up because I know I know what they're doing. And I know we're here ready to get things rolling in 2024. I want to bring that up just because it's, we got 3 committees and a lot of work going on and all that. So just thanks for the consideration.
Chief, what would be the frequency that would be best for you on the various committees? Do you have any idea at this point?
No, I think consistent touches is good. I think, intergovernmental tends to, it's hard to pre-plan. It's one of those where we need it and we need it. I think finance, HR, I think facilities planning is something we can put on the calendar and have it be revolving.
And once a month for those?
I think once a month to start, I think specifically with HR and finance, unless we get into something, that we need to meet on a more frequent basis for staff to touch base with the board. I think facilities plan, to be honest with you, as we go, there may be times where we need to meet a couple times a month as we move through. I think, early on, Station 22 we're going to need a couple conversations with that committee with what specifically with Station 22 and get some of those things. I don't think there's a lot. I think the biggest lift for facilities plan subcommittee is to look at the big picture. What are we really going to do? What are the options we have? Are we going to do it all at once and do serial? And those will come over time. And I think we start monthly and we can always add a meeting.
Those 2 facilities and finance, human resources. So that could be, let's say the first one in February. That way, January, you'd like to jump on the intergovernmental right now. Okay.
Yeah, and I think intergovernmental is the most dynamic right now, and it has been of the committees. Intergovernmental just is dynamic because things roll on. And it's nice to make sure we have conversations with that committee more frequently so we don't miss, because there's a lot of things that are happening and, you know, if you don't have the conversation with it fresh in your mind, unfortunately, my brain's a little bit older and we forget sometimes to mention something that the board finds interesting that we already passed and moving down to the next. So I think those we add meetings for intergovernmental just as a result of what's been going on. And I think it has worked very well with Chair Rowland and Commissioner Farinoff, because they've been very, at the time, hey, we need to meet. Some of them are short notice, but that's because of the dynamics of what's going on. I think the other two tend to be a little bit more routine in nature until you get to the heavy times.
And also continue on questioning, so human resources finance, would it be like a double header? We get the finance people in and rough them up, kick them out, get the human resources in, work them over, and that, or is that, you're not gonna have you guys ganging up on us, are you?
Commissioner, there will be no roughing up of any staff. I think that you guys can figure these kind of intricacies out in your first committee meeting, decide what your format is, how you want to handle it with staff, and then we can kind of move from there. Is that all right?
Yeah, I think, I just wanted to comment that in the past, because just for the benefit of our CFO in here, we get into basically the week that we don't have meeting. That means usually the fourth week. So it doesn't, you know, get him consuming of the work. We're definitely, I personally really conscientious about the work in there. So.
All right.
Don't worry.
Okay. 8:15. I know we had that disturbance earlier, but
So Chair Rowland,
Yes.
it's getting very, very icy out.
Is
So if there's any way we can push through and get done to get everybody home before it gets horrible to drive, it's something to consider. Chief Maxwell just got a report that the roads are getting nasty.
Would it be possible, given that fact, for us to postpone the fire marshal discussion till next week? We can handle the Mount Lake Terrace raise grant because it is a kind of, I believe you said that there's a drop dead date before our next meeting, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we should.
All right. And then we do have an executive session on the books. We can make that short, but that would probably be the quickest way that we could get out and still handle the business that needs to be done. Okay. Yeah.
Are we having freezing rain? Yeah.
Chair,
Wonderful.
to clarify, there is no meeting.
I meant the week after next. I apologize.
It's not.
It's whatever the following meeting.
First week.
All right. Yes. First week of February. Is that all right?
I guess I'd like to give the fire marshal brief. It will be brief because I talked to council today, and I think it's important that you guys know what that is. It won't take very long because there's no action required, but I think it's important I give you that brief.
All right. Can you make it under 3 minutes? 5
So,
minutes.
well, so here's what I talked to Rich about is I did have a conversation with Malt Lake Terrace, and I know in conversations with Paula that they're okay with where we are with Fire Marshal's Office in City of Briar. The city manager was okay with pausing anything he was going to do outside of having us do the work and for us to continue to do our work. Recommended a bridge in our local agreement. Obviously, I don't have that for you tonight. I did talk to council, Richard Davis, and his recommendation was as we run status quo. He needs a little bit more time to do his work. And his recommendation was to just keep doing what we're doing. And then we should have things in a more formal fashion for the board for the first meeting of February. So that's advice of council. Richard knows what we're doing. He was part of the conversation at the last board meeting. And his recommendation is to run the status quo. We don't need to do anything and gives him time to do what the final resolve will be. And he's still got a couple questions that he's working through, and we'll bring it to you February. If for some reason we don't do it the first meeting, we'll bring it to the second meeting in February and hopefully get us at least to a place where he can give you all the detail work that we need and answer at least the city questions first. And then, I think it requires a plan amendment. He's working on that, but we're not ready to do that today. And he'll be ready to do that. I'm hoping by the first meeting of February. And his response based on the dialogue we had last week was just run everything just like it is. We don't need anything to be done. We're going to continue the status quo. And then we'll bring something back, or at least have another discussion in February. Richard will be here at the first meeting to discuss what's further. So I wanted to make sure that was out because there was, we had a lot of conversation about the board wanting to make sure that staff's in a good place and we're in a good place. According to Richard, we're fine where we are.
Okay.
And just hold. And so I wanted to make sure that was important to get because it is a big topic, and I wanted to make sure you got that.
All right, I'd like to make sure that we get a brief at the intergovernmental committee about this, given beyond, not necessarily on the legal side of things, but the ramifications that this could have with our, other organizations in the area, the cities, the county, all of that. I think we need to start having those discussions and vet that out, to determine whether or not, if we have the options, what the consequences of that could be or the implications could be. So I'd like to make sure that we at least get that addressed. It doesn't have to be at the same intergovernmental committee meeting as the Edmonds discussion that I'm sure you want to talk to us about. But if there's time, we can do it then. Otherwise, I just want to get it handled before it comes back before the board.
We just still have homework to do, just to be full disclosure to the board.
Agreed. All right, moving on, we have the Mount Lake Terrace Raise Grant Support Request, and this is for action. We talked about this.
Mr. Chair.
Oh,
We have a
sorry.
question.
Yes.
I think you got a benefit charge in here too on the agenda. You might want to hit.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This is really quick too, because it's
Yeah.
an administrative thing.
My apologies. Go ahead.
So as you know, we can't actually formalize the benefit charge until we get the county assessor's data after the first of the year. If you go to page 55 of the packet, you have both, 51 is the agenda bill. We go through the process of why we need to wait till this time. I'm not going to go over that. You see the preliminary, which is what we had with the resolution when we passed it. We have one now that's the final. What that is we have to go in based on the final numbers we get from the county and adjust the cost factors and the gallons and the cost per gallon as a result of the final square footage within the RFA and all the stuff that we get from the certified assessor's roll. So what's before you is the final benefit charge formulary for 2024 is what was submitted to the county and accepted by the county that imposed our 2024 benefit charge. And so historically, what we've done is ask for the board a motion to accept the final benefit charge formula for 2024. And then we attach this to the resolution that you passed in November. And it will supersede the preliminary one that was the placeholder until we got the final. And this is, I get it's kind of weird how this happens, but we can't really do the final until we get the certified assessor's roll for 2024, and we don't get it till the 3rd of January. So staff would be looking for a motion to accept the formulary for 2024 and attach it to the resolution that was passed in November.
I'll make a motion to accept the formulary.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Any questions? Yes.
Chief Eastman, we didn't talk in the budget process this year or for 2024 too much about the category factors. One of the things that I want to talk about, I'm planning to talk about in the 2025 budget when we get to it, 2024, is talking a little bit more about those and the ability possibly to push them around a little bit to change where some of the taxes go. In the past, we've talked about putting a little bit more into multifamily and commercial. I am still interested in that. That does, in the past, that has had some negative implications for mobile homes, surprisingly. So it's just what sounds like common sense, like, oh, let's just put it all in commercial. Yeah, there's unintended consequences. But the power of the fire benefit charge is that we are able to adjust this formula to year. And I think we should have more conversation about it. So I was just letting you know that come the fall, I'll be interested in talking a little bit more about that formula for 2025 and what we may or may not want to do with it going forward. Because I think that's one of the real benefits of that tool is our ability, unlike taxes and the formula that's set by the legislature or other entities that are not us, we get to set it. And that's really a powerful tool year to year. But we also need to be up to speed on what those things mean and potentially how to adjust them if we wish.
So in preparation for that, staff will do a little bit of pre-work. When there's some downtime, no, I'm kidding. But we can go readdress like we added, some of the response time data to it, time on task and some of those things. We can go back and reevaluate that because we've kept it the same for the first 3 years of the benefit charge, have not changed. And so staff will go do that work preliminarily, with the 2023 data, and be able to look at, does that still hold true? Is there, based on how we did it when we implemented the benefit charge, should that be adjusted based on what we implemented? Staff will do that preliminary work before we get to the conversation because it can be quite, some of that work can be extensive. So we'll start that so we can have that conversation.
Cool. Thank you.
Sounds good. Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the SCF formula memorialized for 2024 as stated in the packet, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes
Thank
have
you.
it. Okay. Going back, the raise grant for a support request. This was discussed last week. There was discussion about updating the language of the letter. I did not get any new verbiage or anything after the meeting, and Liaison Hoffman had requested it to be approved as is if we were going to approve it. So
There was no new language requested to be added.
all right. Okay, so if the board will entertain a motion here to approve this. This would be to approve the board chair to sign a letter in support of raise grant applied for by the city of Mount Lake Terrace. And is there, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this?
Well, I just want to comment that we definitely want to support. Very good talking to you. Appreciate it. Wholehearted endorsement.
All right. I would agree. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, the motion passes. There is not a line item for new business. And since we are pressed for time, is there any further business that anyone would like to raise? Yes.
Yep, for
go
commissioner
on.
comments, just a reminder that the Snow Isle Fire Commissioners annual banquet dinner is coming up on January 27th. That's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Social hour at 6, dinner at 7 at Sean O'Donnell's right across the freeway. The RFA pays for your dinner and meeting ticket. If you wish, if you want to bring a guest, it's $60 per ticket. Encourage you to come on out and see some of the other fire commissioners as we have a short meeting in our annual banquet. So you're all welcome to attend. Yeah, absolutely.
Liaison commissioners.
Absolutely. They, yeah.
So there it is, free dinner. I'll see you there, Paul.
Yes, Mr. Kenny made sure to invite me ahead of time and I did take him up on the offer.
So the deadline for that is will be good by the end of this next weekend. Great, thank you.
So that freezing rain has me a bit concerned. Can we do this executive meeting online? Can everybody head home and then reconvene when you get home?
Actually, I would prefer that we just, if we can delay it till next.
Let's delay it.
I hate to do that. There is something I do want to bring before the board very quickly, given the incident tonight and the kind of implication that this would continue. I would like to move that we move our public comments to written only until we determine what course to take going forward with this.
You'll check with the attorney on that?
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Well, just temporary, I think,
That's the intent.
okay, this is how I feel. The more you put restrictions on the person, that person is gonna be continue. There should be another way to do it.
I understand. I don't make this motion lightly. And if there are special speakers that, want to come and speak, I know Penny Coyne occasionally speaks in public comment on certain things. They can be added to the agenda if they request and, the board wants to, put them on for a specific reason. But this is just, I've been down this road before and if we can at least figure out where our bearings are, what we can do with the lawyers and figure out what is best to go forward. I would like to at least move to writing temporarily again to give us the space we need to determine what we're going to do. Yes.
I would caution you. Because no offense, but you antagonized him tonight. If you had just let him keep speaking, he would have quieted down faster and been less agitated. I do have 20 years of dealing with these kind of people at meetings. And if you take it to writing, he's going to bombard you with writing. He's still going to show up and he's still going to be a thorn in the side. And the more you push back on him, the more it could be placing us in a liability situation because we have denied someone their ability for public comment. And if you reduce it to writing, you still are supposed to read it into the record.
Actually, according to RCW, it needs to be distributed to the commissioners, but doesn't need to be read live at a meeting.
The better policy is to read it at a meeting. And again, I've got 20 years of this, and because you can't pick and choose, you cannot be arbitrary as to whose comments are put on the record and whose are not.
Correct.
So I would caution you that rather than antagonizing him further, give him his 3 minutes, let him ramble on. 3 minutes are over.
Ramble about anything or stick to what's
he
required.
can ramble on about anything.
I mean,
actually.
not legally, he can allow him not to.
He can't.
We can prevent.
If he's saying something like the people who are doing the Zoom bombing that are saying horrible things, anti-Semitic comments using slang derogatory terms for other ethnicities, those you can shut down immediately. But as long as he is not, going into things that are inflammatory like that, you give him his 3 minutes and you send
Whatever, he can
say
say
thank you.
anything he wants for 3 minutes, but how do you shut him down? Because he's not going to stop at 3 minutes.
But that's the thing, is that if we don't antagonize him, give him the 3 minutes, I think that you are going to get him, because just from the times that I've seen him here, when you don't antagonize him and he gets told your 3 minutes is up, he says, thank you for your time, and goes about his business. But when he's antagonized, he won't stop talking.
What about a warning or something said before he starts talking that it needs to stay, not nothing, just let him in here and babble on about anything.
Commissioner Lawrence, I deal with this person myself. Okay, I deal with this person before. Okay, the more you're exactly right. The more you debate him with him or put restriction on him, he just go further down. Okay, you just let him talk, let him say, and then even you have a meeting. I'm already in a meeting. Just otherwise, we cannot change the law or the rule because of one person. It's very difficult to do that because in the sense, right. I think during the last meeting, I always said that have to be related to the gender. It's very difficult, citizens don't know your gender, right? They come in, they got a, barking dog, whatever, and it's not on the agenda, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, just-
and actually for us, what we tell people most often in our meetings, our comment to everyone is that public comment is like in particular, because we'll have, public hearings and things. You can't comment
Yeah.
on something that has a public hearing coming later during public comment. You have to wait until the public hearing. And so for us, it's more about if you have something to say that isn't part of a topic where we'll be allowing public comment later, public comment is your opportunity to take your 3 minutes and speak your piece and then move on. And I think with him, if you give him his 3 minutes, just let him ramble and then say, thank you for your time. Your 3 minutes is up. That you're going to get a better response from him than if you keep trying to restrict him.
Commissioner Kenny.
Yes, I am opposed to the motion. I don't know if there's a second, but I'm opposed to it because we need to support public comment. And for better or for worse, we're enduring the worst. Most of the time it's not a problem, but occasionally it is. This is part of it. Welcome to what bigger jurisdictions face on a regular basis. It is amazing to see the abuse that the Seattle City Council puts up with on a regular basis every meeting. But that's part of being a public group, a public council, and we just got to deal with it. The answer is not to silence that chair. The answer is not to force it into written materials. I think we need to have legal advice about what our options are. We need to get Rich Davis to write us up a brief about what to do, because I agree with Liaison Swisher. We're on, thin ice, so to speak, in our cold environment here. This is also not on the agenda. And so this is essentially a silencing of the public I'm not in favor of, but there are maybe some alternatives that we can embrace and consider. We need legal advice to do that and tread carefully. And so this is part of it. It's not happy. It's not easy to deal with, but it's just part of being a public organization. And we maybe need to refresh our recollection on the tools available to us to deal with this in a way that we can still get our business done. But I don't think, the individual tonight, he's not going to give up. So I think we need to make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's on this issue and not act rashly. So I think we should put it on the agenda for the next meeting, get legal advice, consider it. It's a legitimate issue to consider, but we don't want to act in haste.
I'd like to speak real quick. With all due respect, we actually covered this at our last meeting and had legal advice on this issue as to what our options were, what the legal frameworks that we could use were. So I would encourage you, since it was a special meeting, it should have been recorded, I believe, to go back and rewatch that instead of having to have council take up time and cover the exact same material. That's why I came forward with this motion. I would disagree that this is silencing public comment. The purpose of public comment is so that they can comment to us, not the world, not YouTube, not everyone at large about everything that they've got problems with. So going to in writing, as I've said, temporarily, and again, this board can at any moment after the next meeting or at the next meeting decide to go right back if there's problems. But traditionally, we have not had very many people participate in the public comment process. If it was something where we had 5 or 10 people each time, I would never want to deny them or even try to bring this up just because of one person. My experience with this individual has been that whether you use kid gloves or whether you try to set rules, it doesn't make a difference in the escalations. It is something that just happens. And so I've been very good about not commenting before. Setting down the guidelines that things need to be on the agenda was based off of comments by council last meeting, as well as other commissioners asking me to try to at least set some sort of guardrails up. The bigger concern is when someone hits their 3 minutes, decides to keep going, decides to keep going, decides to keep going, decides to keep going. That is becoming disruptive. It delays our process. Our time is important here. I would urge the board just again, temporarily so that we can get legal counsel to weigh in, make sure that if we need any sort of preparations ahead of time to deal with these type of disturbances, that we're ready for them, is not an unsound reason. So I will ask for unanimous consent to set this to only extend through the following meeting, to go to written comment only for the following meeting, so that again, we can address this issue, figure out what we want to do, and then if we need it to go on further, we can go on
Sure.
further.
Yeah, get Mike, how about we kind of take lays on Swisher's advice on this, even though I'm with you in the beginning, I'm saying, okay, let him come next, and whenever he comes, he got his 3 minutes. And then without saying anything to him, says whatever he wants, even though we don't have to allow that, we'll try that, Paula's approach there. 3 minutes, he gets it off his chest and he goes like he did the first time.
Yeah.
So
Just remind him before he starts talking,
3 minutes.
sir, you have 3 minutes. The timer is running, and leave it at that. Let him go at when your timer goes off. Thank you for your comments. Your 3 minutes is up.
Commissioner Furnahoff.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm gonna lower my hand now, so I don't forget. I am normally sitting where Commissioner Lawrence is, and I've had experienced that same situation also with another member of the public that came in who presented quite logically and then became agitated towards the end. So I think we need to look at this in broader strokes. It's not an individual problem. It is a problem when we have a member of the public that presents potential danger to the people that are in the room. So as a person who's spent 20 years or more in what we used to call force protection postures, we really need to consider what do we want to do when we know that we have potentially somebody who's a known individual for whatever reason, they have a grievance that has escalation history. Commissioner Kenny's point is well taken in terms of the city of Seattle, but I also would back that up that the city of Seattle, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Kenny, has security present in those meetings. Is that correct?
I do believe that is correct.
Okay. So not I'm agitated that we go to sergeant at arms with some sort of weapon, but what I am suggesting is we may need to think about force protection barricades or something along those lines that at least give you folks that are sitting there live an option should something terribly go wrong. I can tell you, sitting here at home watching this, I felt very vulnerable for all of you, every one of you in that room, because at any moment something could have transpired that there was not going to be an option. As fast as Chief Eastman is on his feet, I don't know that he would have been able to, invoke his historic background in terms of, being a combat veteran. So consider that point. Broad strokes, not an individual. We're not targeting an individual, but let's rethink our own security and what our protocol is. At some point, I applaud you, Chair Rowland. You called for recess, and I probably would have asked that the chambers be cleared at that point, and everybody moved behind that locked door near Melissa, because that is one of your only escape route and barricade routes that are key carded. So, I also turn to Commissioner Wittes as being a former fire chief and, with 20 plus years of experience with these kinds of matters. What do you see as our vulnerability? I put the onus on the organization at this point. My life, your life, everybody's life in that room is the responsibility of South County Fire. It is not the responsibility of the board. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. If you change it to written comments only, he can still shows up. You cannot lock the door and say, we only accept comments, right? I think the main thing you tell him that we do not respond to, we don't make comments, all right? Is that what, do I get an answer? No, we don't, we don't give comment, a public comment. We don't respond to the comment. Okay, so that is the key thing. I mean, I know this person very well, okay? And I don't think in the past, you probably, situation, but I completely agree with you. If you suddenly you have this changing the rule in here, and when he said, he's gonna be getting more. If you really afraid that, then let's have a, police standby, whatever. But just changing the procedure doesn't really make any sense at all. We're still exposed to that. Just,
I'm not a fan of changing the procedure, but I understand after 3 minutes, you've got to do something. And whether that's having law enforcement here or something else, I'd rather go that direction than stopping the meeting. And I don't know I don't remember what he said about, or council did last week, of saying what happens when somebody goes over. Maybe that's something you need to communicate with council.
We have in the past, and he's used to the process of 3 minutes, your time is up. I know we did take up some of this time, but he kept going beyond that. I gave him the space to speak more, did call time, it became an issue. And so, as I said before, my experience, I would like to be optimistic that these techniques would be effective. But I'm not. And that's the only reason I would ever bring this up, is because, again, I want to respect the time of the people that come to speak.
Feel free to sit in by me.
And as a side note, I appreciate that others are concerned with safety and want to approach him, but I would ask that no one do so.
Yeah.
Because that's
Tell
a
you,
recipe for problems.
I wasn't concerned for my safety. I did not see him as that kind of a threat. That's why I say, feel free to sit him next to me. And I will very politely, when you hit 3 minutes, say, Mr. Russell, your time's up. You need to stop talking, because you guys antagonized him. That's all it did, is it antagonized him. And I think we need to start with, let's not antagonize him. Let him just blah, blah, blah for 3 minutes. Tell him his 3 minutes is up, because he does know the drill. He does know that he's only got to 3 minutes. If he has a question that's pending, whoever that question is for, whether that be our legal counsel, our fire chief, whatever, maybe somebody should try sending him an answer. And then maybe he'll quit showing up asking the same question week after week. Just a thought.
All right. Well, I would ask that the board postpone this indefinitely, given that it does not seem like there is support for it at this time. But I would hope that we don't have to revisit this in the future. All right. Is there any objection? All right, the motion is off the floor. Is there any further public comment? Or not public comment, commissioner comments? And then there's a request to excuse Commissioner Kenny for his absence at the last meeting. Or the very first meeting, that would be January 6th.
Yeah, first meeting in January.
Without objection.
Thank you.
So excused, go ahead.
For Commissioner comment, I just wanted to thank the board for supporting the Mountain Lake Terrace Raise Grant application. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us.
Thank you. Is there any further commissioner comments?
I'll say for next week.
All right, and are we unanimous in postponing the executive session till the next meeting?
Well, yeah, I am.
All right. Hearing no objection, that will be handled at our next meeting. And with that, without objection, we stand adjourned.
All right.
Please drive safe.